Alright, let's get started building this dashboard by tackling the line chart first. We want the year going across the bottom on the x-axis and the number of social security card occurrences going down the y-axis here. And then within that grid, we want to chart a line for each name we've selected using this filter, and we want each name to be its own color so it's easier for our eye to follow an individual line. And of course, we want to edit up our tooltips so they're nice and easy to follow. Okay, first things first, let's get our grid set up. We'll drag the year variable to columns. Great, there's the 20th century. Tableau has made a mark for each year that shows up in our data set, and then we'll drag the occurrences columns to rows. All right, pause here. What did Tableau just do? It literally drew a line that sums up all of the social security cards in the data set. It looked at each year, summed up all the occurrences for that year, and drew a dot where the two axes intersect. And then it connected all the dots with a line. Notice that our total marks is 100 marks, not one. There are 100 connected dots, not just one line. So you might ask, why a line? Well, a line is a great mark for two continuous pieces of data, like year and occurrences. Remember, green means continuous. The data falls on some sort of spectrum, like numbers. If we changed our mark type to a bar, our visualization becomes unnecessarily dense. Here's why. A bar chart is continuous on one axis. It's got to decide how long the bar should be, but it's also discrete on the other axis, which means it makes one bar per year, and that's just a really lot of blue to look at. So when we change our mark type back to a line chart, we're able to more easily see the shifts happening over time. Here, for example, are the baby boomers. Remember though, this data is not a perfect proxy for US births. Records with less than 10 occurrences aren't in the data set, and data.gov reminds us that many people before 1937 never applied for a social security card. So let's make sure our y-axis label here is descriptive. Double-click and change the title to something that reminds us that we're looking at social security cards, not just births, like number of US social security cards issued. Okay. Think back to the chart we're trying to make. Instead of one line summing up all the occurrences in the data set, we want one line per name. This difference comes down to the level of detail of our visualization. We want to viz with a more finite detail based on name. So here's what we'll do. We'll drag the name variable to the detail square on the marks card. Okay, what have you created? It's a spaghetti mess, I know, but hold on. Before you press undo, think about what you've got here. It is one line per name, and that's exactly what we want. We just don't want to see all 32,600 names at the same time. So what do we need? That's right, a filter. We need a filter, and we'll show that here, and then select just a few names to look at. I'm going to grab the names of women in my family. Great-grandmother Gretchen, my grandma Beverly, my mom Sally, I'm Erin, and then my sister's name is Emma. Take a look at what Tableau is doing here. It's creating a custom list, and now our line chart is much more manageable. On to the fine-tuning, color and tooltips. So let's start with color. We want each name to have its own color so the lines are easier to follow. Here's what we'll do. Drag the name pill that's already on the marks card from detail to color. Boom. Now each name has its own color. And this is important. Notice that the granularity of our visualization stayed the same. If you place the same variable on detail and on color, they'll each make the same number of marks. The only difference between the two is that detail will keep all of those marks, in our case a set of lines, the same color. Now if you want to change the color of our marks, you can just click on color, edit colors, and then look through all of the color palettes. Notice that since name is a discrete piece of data, the color palettes are discrete. That is, they'll assign a different color to each category, each name, instead of giving us a spectrum like it would if we had continuous data. And don't worry, you'll see that later in step 3. All right, last thing, tooltip cleanup. It's always worth doing. Click on the tooltip, and we'll run down our tweaks. Bigger font, no bold, all the same color. Let's delete that extra information like redundant labels that we don't want, and then rearrange the information we do want. Add any final emphasis you might like to see, and then click OK. All right, much better. And before we move on, let's name our sheet. Beautiful. Now, if you are ready and your line chart looks like this, on to step 2. It's time for text.